Now, okay, going to call to order the June Library Advisory Board meeting. And the first order of business is the approval of the May minutes. And Danny has made some changes to that where he actually added the who made the motion and who it was seconded by, and those have been given to Maya, the city recorder. Oh. We don't have to have a motion to open the meeting, or do we? No.
Just the
Okay, so I'm sorry, I must admit, did somebody make a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, a second. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Rick? Thank you. The motion to approve the May minutes has been approved. Everybody voted yes. Should I note that?
I gotta abstain. I gotta change my vote. I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. You can still read the minutes and approve them,
I got minutes,
but you want to abstain. Okay, so Rick has abstained due to his absence. The next item on the agenda is public comments, and we have a guest, Joyce. Come up and sit at the microphone.
It's been a while. Hello, and my name is Joyce Ayers, and I have a reputation around town of having some care for the library. So I've been contacted a couple times over the last few days by a couple of different people asking why there is nothing in the library about Juneteenth. What happened? Where'd it go? Why isn't Canby Library talking about Juneteenth?
Danny, do you want to address that?
Joyce, can I have you spell your name just so I have it in the minutes?
ARES.
ARES, thank you. And it's JOYCE. Okay. I don't know, Joyce. We do the Pride Month display, which is up in the library for June. But as far as a Juneteenth, I would have to double check with staff because typically we have displays for almost everything throughout the year. So I can check and actually email you if you'd like a follow-up.
Well, yes, I would like follow-up. And it's one of those things that because when one person noticed and then they started asking, then more people started asking, why wasn't there something in our library about Juneteenth? And, you know, I didn't know how to answer that, but I told them I would come and ask the question. So if you would please.
Would be happy to.
Let me know.
And-
We want to make sure that the Canby Library is recognized as keeping the entire community informed about what's going on.
So I would like to add at this point in time that, and this is, I'm skipping ahead to Councillor Banks's report, but people have come to me as well as, and to Susie as well as to Councillor Banks and asked about the Pride Month display, but that was just late getting.
That was late, but it's in the library.
Yes, so the people have been, they brought it to Councillor Banks, they brought it to me, and they brought it to Susie as well. People have been asking questions about those types of things. So specifically Pride and Juneteenth.
And Joyce, can I get your email address also, please?
Joyce at ARESHOME, ARESHOME.com.
Thank you.
Okay,
Anything else, Joyce?
I think that's all for right now.
Okay, thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
See ya.
It's nice to see you in person. I've seen you on TV.
Yes, we did. We saw you on TV.
Tell me where. Well, we'll be supporting the Friends of the Library with the home and patio and gardens for.
Are you guys on it this year?
They said we.
You have a beautiful garden. That makes sense. So,
All right.
thanks, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next is the council liaison report. Chris Banks is off celebrating the end of school, but I will read his report to you real quickly. Celebrating end of school year, missed July's meeting to attend a teacher training class in Vermont. This week's council, which I'm also missing, the library budget adjustment of 500,000 from the cemetery fund will get its first vote, which is an annual task. Oh. Also, the appointment of Linda Warwick to the board is on the consent agenda, but he doesn't say anything about the other two people on the consent agenda.
They're on it.
They're on it. Okay, great. Thanks, Danny. He also questioned about the Pride Month. If we get it as soon as possible. And basically, he's apologizing for his absences because he's basically going to miss 3 months in a row. He missed May because he had to fly to Colorado. He's missing June. And he's going to be missing July as well. So that was Chris's note to us, which I'm sure that Danny's already included in the notes for the meeting. And if there's any questions, I can't answer them. Beyond my capability. But given that Susie isn't here and it's the last meeting for a few people, I actually thought that I want to read that part of her report, which you've all seen. But as I am leaving the board, I would like to thank each board member for their generous time commitment made to serve the city of Canby and the library. First, Kathleen, thank you for stepping up and serving as chair multiple times and for your unselfish donation of time you've given to this board. Denise, your passion and focus have served the board and LDAC in amazing ways. Brett, thank you for your insight on serving on boards and wise contributions. Lois, we don't care what she said about me. Amy, you add a sensible perspective to the board and LDAC would be a great fit for you as well. And Luke, it is great to know their future volunteers will hold the library as important. So everybody else, but I did want to say that it isn't appropriate to take the time out to say thank you for. And then, of course, what Susan and I were going to present tonight, I will be presenting alone. That's later on the agenda. So I had a very quick vice chair report. Was there any questions for Susie? Sorry. Any discussion? Thank you. My vice chair report, I think everybody knows what I've been working on. I've been working on the new member orientation, which has gone back and forth between Susie and I multiple times. And even the copy I brought tonight, I had several notes scratched on it. It's meant to be a living, breathing document. It's not done in any way, shape, or form, but there's important input needed from people on this board. And that's why Susie wanted to finish it a little bit more. And I said, no, I want feedback from other people. And actually Luke did send me some notes and I have those attached to written on my copy already. So this is very much a draft and we will see that. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly, and I didn't, is the calendar for the next year. Susie and Danny and I met last year. We made an assumption that certain months weren't good to meet. And I think we were right about Christmas. And I'm not sure we were right about the other ones that we chose. We chose August as being a time when a lot of people were gone. And then it turned out that, well, that wasn't the case. And the same about March in terms of spring break and stuff like that. I don't have children in school, so I don't pay much attention to spring break, but I like to be sensitive to people who do. I had been on other committees where everybody's had kids in school. They've said, no way are we meeting in March. And then we have a student and we have a teacher and another teacher. I don't know if any of the other new members have kids in school, but I would definitely, and it's something we'll have to decide in the July meeting, but it's something I want Rick and Amy to be thinking about it, because I'm actually going to say that, you know, Susie and I were wrong about the months that we chose. I still think December is a good month to take off, but I will ask the new board in July what their feelings are about, and then to look at the calendar too, to see like if the meeting falls on spring break week or not. I mean, I don't know these things. I don't have kids in school. You know, maybe do a little bit more research rather than just arbitrarily making. So that was something I wanted to bring up for both Amy and Rick to think about for next year. If we should even, I mean, I think canceling the December 1 makes a lot of sense because people get very, very busy. But do we want to, are there any other ones we want to cancel? And if so, what are they? Because I think we were right, we were wrong, excuse me, to cancel August and March. So that was what I wanted to say about the calendar. We will go over it, and Danny's going to do the same thing that we did last year in terms of these are the things that need to happen in this month, so that we can create subcommittees to address the issues in advance.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Historically, the spring break is usually the last week in March, last full week in March. However, you might want to wait till the school board sets its calendar next year.
I would think that we would be able to get that
Yeah,
fairly.
usually do that at school gets out or just before school gets out.
Okay,
So that's a follow-up situation, but I'm talking about the last 40 some odd years here, so. It's usually the last, and what happens is it's kids that are in high school, but it's the whole district, so it depends on what's going on. You know, college is also that same, usually they coordinate it with state colleges,
oh,
OSU.
but when I lived in Washington County, they had different school districts with different weeks off.
They try to coordinate it with
Yeah.
public colleges
Huh.
and state, and public schools.
So Danny, I have another question about dates. Like I was looking at the calendar through the end of the year, and our meeting for November is actually the same week as Thanksgiving, so it's the Tuesday before. Is there any way if we announce it far enough in advance that we could say, we're gonna have one meeting in November, December, we're gonna have maybe the week after the Thanksgiving or the week before Thanksgiving? Because for those of us who are having company coming out of town, or if you're going out of town, the week of Thanksgiving is a terrible week. But I don't want to go November and December without meetings.
And the only requirement is every other month. So as long as we're meeting 6 times per year, that's what the charter says. So.
Okay,
So there is that wiggle room that the board has to work with.
so so just so that Amy and Rick know, that's something I do want to discuss in the July meeting. Is what should our schedule look like for next year? Because
And
I do want to be respectful of people's calendars.
largely the topics are very routine now that we have those set in because they're all part of timelines like state reporting, the county report, the different pieces, the budget. So those should be pretty consistent.
Okay. Any other comments about the calendar before we move on?
And just to note, Lois, this is the current year's, this
Oh.
ends in July.
Right.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was just to give you an idea of where we landed this year.
I just brought my copy in. Board member reports, if nobody else has one, I think it goes on to Denise.
So LDAC is having a Zoom meeting on Monday, the 26th. It's going to be at 6 p.m. just to review a draft letter that is a result of the last meeting that we had. And it was Rick Peterson sent it out. And let's see. Get to the letter. So the letter was written to the Clackamas County, who created the bond that was for 310. And what it is asking is for them to clarify where how we should be assessing things and what are our parameters to govern how money is being spent that is part of that bond issue. All of the libraries realized that they were all interpreting things differently, so they could not approve any of the budgets for the years. And this goes back to like fiscal year 17 and ends with the current year that we're working with. So they're going to we'll submit this letter and hopefully get information back that will solidify going forward how to interpret things. There was also a part of it that was kind of written just for one particular library that was going through an issue of being I think, built. And that's done. So they were supposed to, within the year, adjust the entire bond to take that part out. And it never happened. So there's a little bit of scrub work that has to go from the county to us as far as the library district group to tell us where that money can go and to allocate it properly. So the letter's written, we're going to have the meeting on Monday, the 26th to just discuss that letter. And then the following meeting will be decided, I think, at the end of that Zoom meeting. So,
Are you planning to attend that? Okay.
yeah. So I'm gonna send Amy the letter and the items that went with it. Included the minutes of the last meeting that we had that has some bullet points that Amy will have an opportunity to sit on a subcommittee if she would like to. Or get her in 2 feet deep, right? Yeah, so that's it. for
Any
that.
questions for Denise?
You say the Monday meeting was on Zoom or?
Zoom at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Jenny, you didn't have a report this month because you did.
The only thing I'll add, since Councilor Bangs isn't here, is that the city budget meetings were held. There was 3 of them this year. And there was a little bit of discussion about the library, but it was very supportive and we didn't have any questions or changes. So the final reading for the budget for the city is tomorrow night at council. Just does want to give you an FYI.
Okay.
Okay, I think Rick and Kathleen, you're up next. After I write myself this note.
I have a handout first. Which is not accomplished. No, just take one. I got plenty. I got plenty here.
Okay,
One, just need one.
I just, one for Amy and one for me.
So. Kathleen and I met, what, a couple months ago at least, right, on this topic. And actually what the agenda should refer to Oregon Administrative Rules 543. That should be that's what this is what we're going to discuss. If there's any question on that. What I have here is the rule from Oregon State Library, chapter 543, which refers to, you can just see it refers to recognition of public libraries and various conditions that are very open. So, and as we go through this, most of my emphasis is on the value to the general public, not necessarily internal situation. How can we improve the customer experience? How can we be more visible and make it easier for them to access information from the library? I am not a computer nerd or anything close to it. I'm back old school, so I'm used to a lot of verbally and the easiest way to find things without having to spend a half an hour linking from 6 links to the next link and that type of thing. People that are in business and that are in tune to that kind of technology can do it faster. And I'm just trying to cover all bases from 8 to 80 years old that can do stuff, or 90. So I just want to briefly go through this, and Danny, I need your help essentially, maybe on a yes or no basis, or just some minimal, feedback as we go, not a big discussion or anything until there's a couple of points I want to. So anyway, you can read, we can read briefly down here. Yes, I'm sorry. Just Oregon. It's just,
So this is the same as these, right?
Yes, that's the super granular version.
Okay, okay.
This is the actual rule.
This is actual,
Yeah.
yeah, to keep us all.
The idea of no. Sorry, the only connection, and the reason that we asked in Clackamas County that this happened is because as part of the annual report that we provided to LDAC, they asked that each board at least is familiar and reviews this once a year. So that's us being compliant with that.
Exactly, and this is an education piece. 90% of this is an education piece. There is areas where we can enhance what's on here. Make it better. All right, so that's what I'm trying to get. So anyway, from item one is what we tells you the conditions, and then because we are a library of over 2,000 in population. Item number 2, and then A all the way through J, it reflects what we are responsible for. And some of these are quick, easy answers, at least half of them. Do we have at least 50% of its operational financial support from public funds? I know we do. Do you have a guesstimate what percentage that would be? And just
Over 90%.
90%. And this is good for new members too. I mean, just to know, where we're at.
Actually, correct. Our budget, with the exception of the Friends, is funded primarily through the district task force tax dollars. At a very high percentage, in the city pays a small amount to help with allocated costs and any difference each year in budget costs.
So the total would be around 90 if you had to do.
I would say it's close to 99%.
Close to 99, okay, all right. That's good to make that notation. Open to the public, I know we're over 20 hours now, what's the latest count on how many hours a week? 50? Okay. We provide a collection, books, media, electronic sources, I know we do that. You don't have to answer that. I'll check that. Offer free public access to computers, it's totally free, no matter what link, whatever they search for.
The only cost associated with page print. And there's also the option to email it to yourself.
Okay, per page printing is, okay. Okay, offer free, okay, we already covered that. Free public wireless internet access.
So basically you can bring your own computer in and use the Wi-Fi here.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can get, get the. Okay, so now we're down to F. Now, this is the one that I want to discuss a little bit. This is, the condition is to provide a website that enables local library users to access State Library of Oregon resources and services available to all Oregon residents. That particular, I did some research, and fortunately I saw that Danny or someone had actually has that link in the State Library of Oregon in a menu that starts with Cambly Public Library, arrow, downloadables and research. And there's a number, I'd say there's maybe 6 to 8, downloadable research. So you can, however, when you go there, you have to keep clicking away. And that goes, the next arrow is to the State Library of Oregon. And then the next click is about libraries in Oregon. And then there's a drop-down menu. And you can select various topics. And the topic that I selected to match up with this piece of paper is called Minimum Conditions for Public Libraries in Oregon. And that's what this is all about. Other things you can access, this is all the general public can access all this information. Okay, so that's covered. That's good news. I thought we didn't have a way to get to the Cambly, the State Library of Oregon. Okay, and then G is, and then maybe you can help us me on G, Danny. Dedicate at least 0.50 full-time equivalents paid staff time exclusively to library functions. I don't know what other things they would do other than library functions on an individual basis. Could you help me on that?
Unfortunately, there's a few libraries in Oregon that I know of. One has their parking attendant also running the library. So that's a situation where they're trying to keep the library open. We are obviously not in that situation, but there are other cities that are struggling to make things work, and they are trying to be creative like that. But for us,
We're well over 50% or more, or 100 or whatever, 50 or over.
our FTE is completely.
Okay, okay, so
Excellent.
1.0, whatever.
Well, we range from 8.9 to 9.1, that there's, the point.
Okay.
Decimals are on call to adjust. for-
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but we're covered, Okay. Okay, now this is another one I want to explain a little further on, and this is probably the last one. It's called, have basic policies in place and accessible online for collection management, circulation, and patron confidentiality that incorporate relevant American Library Association and professional ethical codes, rules, and guidelines. I kind of read into that condition a little bit. Again, checking our Canby Library website, there was a links to collection management, situations and. But I wanted to kind of make it easier for the public by just putting certain areas into the downloadables and research area. So they can immediately link to certain ones, and you can comment as we go. And Kathleen and I talked about this kind of in our only meeting on this topic. And, you're clicking away. Fantastic.
Share screen. You guys can see anything.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But right here under using your library, there's all of our policies.
Right.
Right there. So they are at the top level for folks to access.
Right.
Very easily.
Yeah.
So we do have those.
Right, you've selected pertinent links that would be of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, you self-select, right, I understand. I found that also.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
that we're all.
That's good. Everybody should know that there's some information immediately from that one link, from the downloadable link. But I guess people have to know that, it's there. But I mean, like I say, I'm not that expert in surfing, I guess you might say. I can surf, but. So continuing on, and we can comment now, or we can wait to the end of this, but we're getting close to the end here anyway. I was suggesting, and Kathleen, I think agrees with me, to add a few things here as far as links are concerned under the downloadable section. And one would be our Canby Library Policy Manual. I know that you've already picked up parts of it, like you said, that you just showed us. But I just think the whole manual should be in there, and the whole public has it. Especially if they want to be a member of an advisory board or get involved with working for the library or whatever. There's other reasons. And is that a problem, do you think? Can that be done?
I actually have a comment on that because I used to write policy manuals for companies, the HR policies and stuff like that. And we would go back and forth because, when I first got into HR, all policy manuals were paper. And it was actually attorneys who said, we don't like the paper manuals because people hang on to them. And as they get updated, they might not pay attention to the fact that it's been updated. Even if they got an updated copy, they may not pay attention to it. They're supposed to, but they preferred, we actually went away from paper policy manuals and went to online copies so that people always were forced to go online and forced to get the most recent. Now, I, of course, was in the software business, so people knew how to get stuff online, but it was basically our attorneys who said, get rid of the paper. That they don't want people going to paper. They want people going to the online version. So,
Is there a hybrid way you could handle it?
well, if you,
I'm thinking of having online is the preferred way, and have a master updated in the policy to review if somebody wanted to walk in.
so instead of like downloading going to each one individually, having like one link that encompassed everything.
The whole policy.
Well, there's,
46 is 46 pages.
yeah, there's multiple policies, so, um,
You could create a PDF and add it as something you could put on, you know, and just show you the whole document that you could print if you wanted. I don't see a reason why we couldn't. A lot of it gets into, kind of the minutia of the work staff do. So sometimes it can bog down. That's why we put the main policies out that are very front facing, but I don't see a reason why we couldn't.
it's just that you'd have to make sure if there's a change to the policy that that other link got corrected as well. So it's an extra step.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that we print copies here
Okay.
for people to hand out.
No.
I was suggesting just to have the research available.
We can look into that. That should be good.
Yeah, I didn't know about how much you can fit onto us. I have no idea what you can fit onto a site.
So you don't have to update anything. It just links to whether it will be found.
Well, it lives on a protected shared drive of the city, so we would have to keep it updated on the website.
Oh.
But I think that we don't update the manual that often.
I-
The last time we had an official update was when this.
Our policy.
Oh,
2019.
Exactly, yeah,
that was the most recent policy.
Okay. yeah. So that would be one recommendation that we would have, okay. Another one, I'll just zip through these, the Oregon Library Association has a link. The American Library Association has a link. This is a recommendation, under the downloadable section. The other one that we kind of tossed around was the Canby Municipal Code regarding the ordinance 2.20, which gives the legal situation here in Canby, the establishment of the library and the library board and all that stuff that we have already reviewed and went through Joe with and so on.
That does live in multiple areas of the city website.
Yeah.
So we can.
It'd be nice to focus on that, again, research for people.
Yeah, thinking that part of education, and not just for the board, but if somebody is coming in and isn't familiar with libraries.
Yeah.
That they can look it up and they can find out what governs, why does the city do what it does with the city, the public library.
Okay, so that was the four I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other
And-
question? And then Kathleen just now had a few more that we can do. I'll just bring it up because she brought it up and I'll cover it. I'll just
Mhm.
suggest, I don't know if this is a recommendation for me or just for discussion. I don't know what this is just out here. for
There
now.
are suggested improvements
Suggested.
so
yeah.
that people that had a question could just click and there it is.
These are additional ones that she had on her mind. And but you agree with whatever I've done so far.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, that's
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
We don't talk every day, you know, believe it or not. Okay, okay, we got
Do you
the,
want-
the one that she brought up was the Oregon Revised Statutes 3.7-4. You've got the definitions, board organization, and all pertaining to public library boards and library boards. Oregon public libraries. I don't know if that's found in anything in the site that we have now, or is it, can you explain further?
It's, well, when I got put onto it was in the handbook. The policy manual, I want to say that when it talks about. Okay, so Canby Public Library Board, the establishment, and the very first sentence is in accordance with Oregon revised statutes and gives the number, the letter, and there's another one that gives the OARs. And especially like with the public meetings laws. If people have questions about, well, why do public meetings get conducted the way they do? Well, there it is. And it's luckily pretty plain language in all of those. So that's why those two.
But if they had the policy manual, they could link, if they had that online, that's from the Canby policy manual. Right?
Yeah, this was originally the
So they could link, is there a link there for that?
new.
There's no link
New
there.
name. It just listed and, and you can just simply go to the computer and enter ORS number such and such.
Yeah. So
So,
do you
yeah,
see a need for that? Do you see a need for that on our?
as long as, and it seems, I don't make assumptions about people and their knowledge about anything to do with computers because of where I'm at. So, if it doesn't have to be linked, it doesn't have to be linked.
Access is covered.
I have had, no, I mean, I'm kind of like, I just went in and
And
like
the-
Oregon public meeting rules and the exact
yeah.
page came up. So
Yep.
it's really easily out there.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have a problem with like, for additional information, these are some things,
Go
you
to.
might be interested in. But I think that, the first page that you land on is for the casual consumer. They just want to figure out how do I reserve a room? How do I do this? How do I put a book on hold?
Mhm.
But so I think it putting it down a step further for somebody who wanted to do some serious research. But that's for somebody who's getting into a different level of research versus somebody who just wants to figure out how to reserve a meeting.
Yeah.
But I think the first page should be, I actually like the first page and I do use the first page. When I just want to, I don't go in and Google how to reserve a meeting room. I go to the city of Canby's, the library's website and I click on that right there. But I think that having additional information, but at a second level,
Yeah.
that's where I would I wouldn't put it on the first stop
Right.
on the page.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it would be fairly simple to add like an additional resource
Mhm.
that
Oh.
takes you to.
yeah,
Many of these things are very similar, whether it's
Mhm.
local charter code,
Mhm.
ORS, OIR.
Mhm.
We can lump those
Mhm.
fairly easy.
Yeah.
And in the same downloadable area or?
It's all linkable. And it's not our content, we're just pointing people
Right.
to it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
state or it's whatever.
Yeah.
So you can choose, yeah.
Maybe you could just redefine downloadable as something else and then include the
it's a link. It's not a downloadable is actually a document that you download like a PDF.
We can-
Yes, some are and
I
some
think
aren't.
it would be really straightforward to add, a link under downloadables and research as additional library resources or something. like
Yeah.
Yeah.
That points, so.
as long as it's on that page. Yeah,
That
that's
would
great.
cover it, yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hate to go to 5, 6, links to get to who I want, you want to get them in.
Kind of empty, right? So this helps us fill it a little more.
Yeah, yeah, you want an even amount,
Yeah.
but one or two links, then my wrist, I'm done, so.
New website has been a
No.
huge help, we still have some
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, this is all, the goal is transparency and, outreach to the public, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was, the last one that we didn't talk about this, the IGA. I don't know whether I don't know what we would do with that, because I don't even know what kind of link you can help on that.
Stuff the last 2 years with the IGA and went through it just to make sure that we knew what level we were in the
Mhm.
IGA, and it
Mhm.
takes months to
Yep.
go through.
Yep.
But it's something that the library has to be like aware of, and it's like another hoop to walk through.
Oh, yeah.
For what you provide as a library.
Isn't that on the link? Isn't there a link to that on the, isn't there a link on the link website? To
I
Elder?
believe,
Yeah.
Not the link website, but the county's website
Ah.
has, that's a county document
Right.
that the cities join with them on, so.
So
That
you'd go-
document, the primary source there,
Can you link us to the county then?
we can redirect that.
To that.
Can we?
And a
Yeah.
question about that, because I haven't been with LDAC for a couple of years now, I think. To locate the maps that pertain to your library, to see,
The library district.
yeah. Because I have the physical
Yeah,
ones
that-
that I got when I was on LDAC.
That's a
but,
good point, Kathleen, yes.
You know,
The boundary.
so
Every so many years, you have to go through
you're-
as a board and verify where your level is on the different aspects of it.
Yeah,
So that's time consuming, but it's really helpful to see what you provide versus the other libraries.
yes,
So I can see where they're drawing information.
yeah.
What do you think? Have it on there?
I think it's under these other suggested topics, other research topics, or whatever Danny's calling it, that it wouldn't hurt to link to it. I think it's, again, it's not the first time or the casual user, it's the more in-depth researcher, and somebody who's researching that is probably going to know they might even go to the county first, but it wouldn't hurt to have a link. But it has to be, like I said, the second
Yeah.
level of, you know.
Well, even someone accept their properties, tax statement in November, you got,
Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't think your tax statement shows where your dollars
No.
go.
no.
It shows just the.
Just such an
Douglas
amount.
County. I know,
It's
'cause
been
my
assessed to
sister,
your
my
house.
sister found out when I got the maps and I looked at them and said,
There's a lot of curious people out there.
it's going to Oregon
yeah.
City.
Well, it does, as Danny said, it's fairly easy to make a link to another document.
Yeah, as long as you know, that's why you're here to help us through this, Danny.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
super doable.
Yeah, okay. That was, so I don't have any more suggestions on that. We can just zip through the rest of this. And they're pretty easy. Provide basic services for reference and youth services. Everybody said yes.
Mhm.
And the statistical report is a requirement that Danny has to do, correct? Or the
Every fall, I start working on the next month.
next month, because
In the light.
it's an October deadline or something, right? Supposedly, okay.
The state changes our targets a little bit and
Mhm.
there's a lot of, especially the last few years.
Mhm.
To find there's been definitions.
Mhm.
The state's continuing to work on
Mhm.
So Danny, we're up to date though on the,
that. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
and has it come back yet? Has the composite come back from the
I have
state?
to Look at the state website. I'm sure it's there already. There's a section under the. There to navigate. Oh, there, it is. Public record. So the most current year that they have on the book is 21, or sorry, on the website is 21-22. So it'll be reporting year.
Right. So is this something you can share with us?
It's through that same link on our website, State Library.
Oh,
It's-
it'll be on there.
Oh, yeah, it's all. of it.
Okay,
So, on the website, there's 4 different columns in there. One that says Oregon libraries. You just click about libraries in Oregon. It takes you to the data that we all report every year.
oh, okay, good, perfect.
Once the state statistician at the state library prepares all of it, then it's produced on the website.
Good, okay, thank you.
That's a hard rule. I mean.
Yeah.
We always turn that.
Yeah. Good. I consider that an internal document, that's not really public type of thing. I mean, I guess it could be, but they can access it if they want. So, the rest of it, okay, item 3 is all for libraries under 2,000, let's cross that off, all the way down to item 4, and I'm just gonna highlight item 4 that.
Mhm.
I guess there's a hammer if you don't comply with a lot of these conditions repeatedly or for whatever time period they suggest this thing. They can deny grants and state aid and grants and especially new members should see how it's important to keep the library open. And that's the goal.
Mhm.
And then item 5 and all the way down, all the way through 9 is really nothing that I'm gonna read now. It's kind of do with compliance, termination, reinstatement issues for libraries. And that's all bad stuff. And there's nothing to talk about because we're not attorneys and it's all in.
That's if you get into
Oh, and-
trouble, then you need to.
And we don't want to go
We're
there.
not gonna go there. We're not gonna go that
We
deep in the.
we are
weeds.
meeting them once and more.
So anyway, that's kind of what I've got. Is there any other additions that people want to make or questions? Or just go with the recommendations that we've already discussed?
I will make a motion that we go with the recommendations that Rick and Kathleen proposed.
Yeah, I would second that one.
Everybody in favor?
I-
Aye, it's unanimous. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your work on that. Slogging through legal stuff is never very much fun. But, so the next is the new board member orientation, and this is something that's, like I said, Susie and I have gone through multiple iterations. I don't think this is draft like number 9, something like that. And it's not done. I already have notes written on my copy of this. So basically, this is how we divided it. There's an introduction to the library. And then there's a separate introduction to the library advisory board. And the assumption is also that in addition to this document, which there will have more links on it, there will also be like the book that Kathleen has, you know. Yes,
Handbook.
thank you. That there will be that given to new advisory board members as well. And then I'm hopefully that as that people will have a chance to go over this with people. I know when Amy joined the board, she and I met and we went over some of this stuff like kind of very informally. So basically, most of the stuff we've seen before. I did include the American Library Association stuff. Services is just kind of a, you know, the straight off a summary of from the library's website. The strategic plan, and it's also, this is a good time to bring this up because our strategic plan is 2018 to 2023. So is there a plan?
Last year.
Yeah.
Is this, so we have to update that? And do we want to put that in there?
I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, that's
part
a,
of our- how we- Those are our guiding.
so that's a yes. We'll put the strategic plan in there. The history needs a lot of work, and it was really funny. I was at a graduation party on Saturday and at a neighbor's house, their daughter graduated from high school, and Luke was there with his mom. And we were talking, and it turns out Luke's mom and the mother of this high school graduate are very close childhood friends. And she was saying to another friend, do you remember going down into the basement of so-and-so and stuff like that? And that's the kind of stuff that we need is
Yes.
the history of how, I mean, we've got some good things. Tyler's done a good job in some of his history of the public library, but there's also this big gap. So that's something that is just gonna have to be worked on over time. And if people have information or have sources, I've seen you going down to the Historical Society as well, they might have some information. That's actually, to me, hugely missing. There's a lot that needs to be done there, but it's just a matter of having the time. I was trying to focus more on the library advisory board. And then I have a separate page on Link, because I do think that you can't understand how Canby operates without understanding Link. You know, you just absolutely have to have that. And then, so that's the library section. And LDAC I included in the library advisory board because that is, the LDAC is comprised of advisory board members.
Yes.
So that was my logic for putting it there as opposed to putting it with the library. I can't say that if I'm right or wrong, but that was my thinking. Yes, Kathleen,
You have to be a board member. to Be
which is why I put it,
on LDAC.
which is
and-
why I put it.
And the council approves both of those appointments. So yeah, it's the city of Canby. Yeah.
Directors are really big there. Because.
Yes.
the Directors are half of that board.
And they didn't used to be.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it should go part of the library advisory board or under the library. I don't really care. If other people want to say, well, it belongs in the library.
Board, yeah,
Okay.
But
Yeah.
in concert with the directors.
yeah. Yeah, you worked
and
really
the-
close.
The county library people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's.
I'm gonna leave it under the library advisory board.
Yeah.
I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we might need a little bit more, something on there, like you started to talk about the role of library directors.
I do notice that you said no more than 3 board members for subcommittees, and I think.
Is it 4?
Four, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think we need more. Where was,
2 places, there was one on the right above information packet. And then there was one.
oh, 4. I'll find it anyways. I'm thinking that we might need a little bit more on subcommittees, but I don't know. I'm not happy with what I wrote on subcommittees.
Well, usually one thing about subcommittees is your chair serves as the de facto chair of the subcommittee.
While you're there, can I just interject something that my history
Mhm.
situation, I got a name Peggy Sigler.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me go back to that page. Peggy,
Peggy. P-E-G-G Sigler, S-I-G-L-E-R. She has been here for years and actually was involved with the Canby Historical Society for years. And has got a wealth of history.
do you have any contact information for her?
I can get it for you. I don't
Okay,
have her
if you
phone
do
number.
that, that would, so I'll put,
She travels a lot now, but she's in
Yeah.
town. I mean. she
Okay.
doesn't know how to farm it.
and that's what I need. I need somebody who can,
She's
great.
very fond of the library.
good, good. That's what I need, because I don't, I mean,
She goes back to the first book, basically, almost.
Yeah.
she's not quite that old,
That's
right?
But she's retired.
That's good. That would be
Okay.
really helpful, because I definitely
All right.
need that.
Text because your mom lives right across the street.
Really?
Oh, really?
Her husband and my brother are
They're an
friends.
amazing family.
Yeah.
And they are very historical.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Very
So
oriented.
that would be really, really wonderful.
Yeah, that would, that would help you.
Chapter one, very remote.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Did you
Thank
find what you're looking for on that create board or whatever it is?
I found the one.
Maybe Laura found it.
We found them, yes.
Got
Denise
it.
found them
Got
for
them
me.
both, okay.
I'm switching ahead to the past historical accomplishments of the Library Advisory Board. And I was talking with Luke on Saturday and I said, oh my gosh, I forgot to say that making, the student member, voting member was important, and I think that's an accomplishment that we should put on this. But this is where I really, I mean, even going back to the supplement, the funding with the Roger Reeves presentation. I mean, I was here because Irene had asked the Friends to come and support this, so but that was well before my time.
Mhm.
So this is where those of
That
you
was, yeah.
who, and Linda has agreed to rejoin the board just to fill up Jessica's one-year term. And I'm hoping that she will help with this too, and she's my neighbor, and if I have to, I give her vegetables from my garden, so I can bribe her to.
Yeah, she goes back.
Yes, she goes back as well, so,
Yeah.
but if you think of it, and if you think of something 3 months from now, it's okay, email it to me. This is a living, breathing document.
We spent 2 years.
Mhm.
And it got scrapped.
Yeah.
Last year, so I wouldn't. It's gonna have to start from scratch.
Scratch all over
whenever
again.
it's put down again.
Yeah.
And we really didn't accomplish it.
To me, it was a big accomplishment. We got right up to the tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
And worked really hard to get there, but wanted to say that
Yeah.
a different direction. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is complex because it's based on your, is it tax lots or, yeah, tax lots. So you're looking at a whole block that you have to shift around. Cambies are split in half in some places.
Eventually, the county will have to do,
Something.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's just the way it's gonna be. It's gonna have to wait for all that to come together.
Yeah.
So,
And so the addendums were just like, this is just stuff that if you Google best practices for advisory board meetings, what makes, you just Google this stuff and you get a bunch of, I threw some stuff down there. And then Danny and I were talking today and, so this is the document that's supposed to help new library advisory board members and get them
Mhm.
educated. And so Danny suggested that he asked Marissa to do like a summary of her report, like so that people understand actually Luke made this suggestion too, kind of like what a collection is, what collection practices are, so that there's no confusion about culling and things like that. This came from a couple sources that we do something. And so I talked with Danny today when I was working in the bookstore, and he said that he would have Marissa do something that we can add as an addendum so that it's part of like educating people, so that people, when they come in, they feel like they're not like completely ignorant, that they feel like they have some information.
As the newest member, one of the most helpful things that would be to add to this would be what things mean. So a lot of abbreviations are used. And I have to go home and look those things up
Yes.
every single.
And actually, Luke pointed that out to me.
Okay, good.
So it's true, like with LDAC, I think I wrote out Library District Advisory Committee. I meant to. And I even, yes, I wrote that. And even like I start at the very first sentence, Introduction to Canterbury Library Advisory Board, I'm gonna put LAB in parentheses behind it so that people see right away what it is.
Well, it's like the headline for About link,
Yeah,
so.
libraries in Clackamas County, yes. And I think I have it inside, but I do need to have it
Yeah,
up top.
if you put it up top and,
Yes,
put
yes.
your abbreviation after you,
So,
then people can
so
click
Luke
on it.
actually looked at this before he left out of town, and he actually gave me that feedback that I needed to be better about my abbreviation. So that was very thoughtful of him, and like I said, this is just throwing spaghetti on the ball, if it sticks, and then to see also, you know, Susie made some changes, Lucas suggested some changes, and I'm hoping that people hear.
Just a quick question, I haven't gotten through it all about that half. Would you like us to concentrate on content more than format on how this is laid out? Or
Yeah, I think that we can so I want to divide it into library advisory board. And after that, I don't care. So
Yeah.
I would like to focus on content first, and then we can, and then we can
Yeah, 'cause
shuffle things around. And
that's good.
yeah, so we have just a few more minutes, and I would like to try to finish the meeting on time.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, Denise.
Do you want us to just write you a little note of a couple things that are added and just email?
And I'll
it?
just copy and paste it into my document. So email is great because then I can just
Okay,
take your words and put it
Okay.
in. So just tell me where to put it. Or if you want to change something, you know.
It was just to add a couple, like.
Yes, absolutely. That would be perfect. I use copy and paste a lot. I don't believe in rewriting things if I don't have to. So is there anything else on that? I really, like I said, this is a draft. It's not done. It's not going to be done probably for a while, but it's important enough to me that we have something to give to the new members. Obviously, I don't have to give it to Linda, but two new members that are being voted on this week. And as soon as it's approved, I will send them, and with the note that it's a draft, because they might get it and have like a whole different set of questions. But you didn't talk about this, you didn't talk about this, so. Because I don't know what people don't understand until they actually come on the. So I would like to go on and finish up. So basically, we have 3 nominations that are being approved tomorrow night. Linda Warwick, who has been on this board before, has agreed to, after serious bribery, to fill out Jessica had 1 year left on her term. And then both Christy Smith and Jennifer Kraxberger are up for 4-year terms. Susie and I were impressed with both of them because they started off with, you know, tell me, the question was like, tell me what is a great public library? And both of them started off with, when they were children, how much libraries meant to them. And so that was really, you know, it was all.
Cheers to your eyes. I got a question. Do you have access to the applications that they submitted?
No, I only have partly paper because Susie only has access to that because she's still the chair. So I have paper copies.
Well, can you or email or something?
Yeah, we used to see all of them.
And maybe it's just that, well, mine wasn't in the, no, mine didn't have one in the system, so she did like a copy and paste of Jennifer's. And I can bring them in here and scan them
You can scan
and
them,
email them to you.
but they're also, I know, part of the packet that the city council gets. They get the applications.
Do they?
Yeah.
Double check
Yeah.
which Tuesdays.
Yeah, because,
I'm coming
Yeah.
to libraries
Well,
too.
they eliminate, they redact certain
Yeah.
personal things like
right.
somebody's home phone number or whatever,
Mhm.
but I've seen it in the packet.
I have paper copies and I'm coming in here to work on Thursday. I can scan them and email them to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just so we have
Yes.
something to
Yes,
start with.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But
know that it is a confidential.
Yeah,
Confidential,
very
right.
confidential. Right.
Well, the part for Jennifer actually doesn't have, because it's just a.
Yeah.
It's a part of a copy and paste from the city system.
Yeah,
So that's all I
it's
have.
just an application, it's public knowledge.
There's a little more to
Well,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know about addresses and phone numbers. and
Yeah,
stuff
just.
like that.
So they redact,
Yeah,
redact that
Yeah.
stuff.
I think I have for one of them, I think I have the whole
If you
thing.
want to redact first before you do it, that's.
Take a highlighter.
Yeah.
You could be the redactor. Pardon?
I said Lois might double check.
Okay, I don't have time tomorrow, but like I said, I'll be in
Yeah,
here
it's
Thursday.
just so we have.
Yeah.
more knowledge.
And then, so positions for next year is our last item on the agenda. I am trying to run for chair. That was the deal that I cut with Susie last year. Amy wants to be the LDAC rep. And Rick, do you want to be the vice chair or not? You know, if you don't, it's okay because Christy, one of the people, actually has a lot of meeting experience. And I would ask her, but you are, you know, it's the three of us.
The only thing is technology wise and cut and paste and sending reports, you know, like electronically and things. It takes me all day to, you know, do that.
Well,
I'm
I
not comfortable in the,
that,
in the operational side of things. I'm very comfortable conducting a meeting, backing you up or whatever. You're not,
He's
I can conduct a meeting. And I can
Mhm.
make notes and I can, you know, follow up that way and I can do things. Other than technology. So that's my weakest link.
well, I suppose like if something happened and, you know, I'm hit by a bus. That, and there was stuff that had to get out, Danny could like fill in, or some of the other people on the board could fill in with help with technology.
You know, well, I didn't want to do it, I guess, you know. so.
Yeah, because like, what is that, one of the people coming on to has a ton of experience with meetings. Now, she's, the problem is she's new to the board. I suppose I could ask Linda as well, but it's really,
and she's
really up to
been
you.
chair, yeah. She's
Well,
been
can we
chair,
leave it
vice
open?
chair.
yes, we can leave it open and
Let's leave
decide.
it, let's leave it open.
Decide
She's on
fine.
the board and then we can discuss it further if that's possible.
So we still have to take a vote on Amy and I.
Right.
Somebody make a,
So move. I nominate, let's see, yeah, I nominate Lois for chair and Amy for LDAC rep.
Second.
everybody in favor? Aye. Aye. It was approved unanimously.
Shooing.
And we got this done with only being 2 minutes over, and we went through a lot of
We
stuff.
did discuss extending, when the new board comes. to-
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the
New board.
meetings at the time and all, I want to wait till the new board comes on
All right,
to
perfect.
do that. Great, thank you so much,
Thank you.
everybody. Oh, to close the meeting,
Oh.
sorry. I move that we close the meeting.
I'll second that.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Perfect.
Trouble turning this down.
I forget the term, turn them on.